Hey guys, this is Ryan. In this video, we're going to cover the best PPC niches when it comes to running Google Ads for local service-based businesses. So this is mainly going to be for lead generation purposes and applied to local businesses, but we'll also cover some principles on what to look for so you know how to apply this to national brands, e-commerce, whatever you're running Google Ads for in the first place. But in general, I made a list of all the different industries and niches that I have personal experience in, or I know specifically from other PPC managers who have ran campaigns in these industries. My hope is that I can provide some industries and niches that you're not used to hearing. Many of the videos just say the standard plumbing, roofing, all that jazz, but I want to show you something a little bit different, something that you may have not heard before, and that's going to be in this video. So let's first start off with some principles to look for, and we'll go from there. Alright, so let's cover some characteristics that I'm looking for when it comes to choosing a PPC niche for lead generation. The first thing that I'm looking at is the customer lifetime value. This is important because the higher their customer lifetime value is, the more you can demand for a retainer for your monthly management. And it doesn't require any additional work most of the time from one industry to the next. So you might as well choose an industry that has a really high lifetime value for their customers, whether that's on a recurring basis, such as a dentistry, or one-off projects with commercial real estate, commercial construction. In these scenarios, you can bring a lot of value to someone within the same amount of time, same amount of effort, far more than, let's say, if you were running ads for maybe like a pizza shop or something like that. So this is the main thing that I'm looking for, is customer lifetime value. The second thing that I look for is service urgency. Now, urgency is going to depend on not just the industry itself, but the individual services that they offer. There are going to be some services that a industry offers that are more urgent by nature than other ones. For example, you could say emergency dentistry as compared to maybe like implants. People are going to do more research when it comes to implants as opposed to someone looking for an emergency dentist. They're just going to pick up the phone and call. Some industries by nature are just going to have an urgency built into them, such as like repairs on plumbing, so repairs on water heaters. Another thing is going to be like a tree service. If someone is calling a tree service, a lot of times it's because a tree is about to fall or has already fallen on their property or on electrical lines and they need it fixed fast. So these types of people are going to click the first thing they see, i.e. an ad on Google, and then call the first person, and whoever answers and gets them a quote is going to get the job. The downside to a lot of these types of services is that they generally don't have a recurring basis. They're a lot of times one-off projects like tree services. So just keep in mind that depending on the urgency of the services that you're promoting, it's going to affect the conversion rates. So a tree service might have really high conversion rates like 20, 30, 40%, 50% even from clicks to lead, whereas maybe a medical industry where people are doing a lot more research, they're going to have lower conversion rates on average, maybe like 5, 8, 10, 15% on that scale. But just keep that in mind that a lot of times with the medical, what you lose with urgency, you gain with recurring over a long period of time and higher price, higher ticket services in the first place. The third thing that I'm looking for is competition. Now, I don't like to see too much competition, and I also don't like to see no competition. The ideal spot, and something that I've discovered pretty recently in the last year, is I really love to see national brands, lead generation brands like Thumbtack or Home Advisor, something like that, running ads at a local level, but then there's no local businesses running their own ads. This is important because those local businesses can actually outcompete on that local scale the national brands. But you know that the national brands have done their research. They know that these keywords are converting and it's worth them to put money into them. So you know there's money there. You know there's not a lot of local competition, and those would be a great industry to go into. The last thing to note on these characteristics is I would say about 80% plus, and that's conservative, of businesses should at least be testing Google Ads. So if you have an industry in mind that doesn't fit under all of these criteria, you're missing one, you're missing two, don't worry about it. You might as well just test it. The data will show whether it's a good industry or not. There are some industries that I went into, I didn't think they would work at all, but they turned out to work amazingly. So keep that in mind. You got to test everything. If it's missing all three of these, maybe that's a red flag for you, and you might want to try something else that has all three or a little bit more of these characteristics. But if not, just test. Okay, now we're going to jump into another characteristic or a quick little tip when it comes to deciding on a niche. And this is a section of industries that you can choose. Simply by adding certain words to industries, you can actually make them more urgent, or you can make them more higher ticket. Kind of as mentioned before with emergency dentistry, just adding the word emergency in front of things makes them more urgent. Also repair, adding repair on something is going to make it more urgent. Most of the time when someone needs a repair, it's something that they need done right away, as opposed to maybe like an installation, something that's brand new. It's going to have a lower conversion rate. But keep that in mind. So look for these types of words that you can add into industries so that you can focus on not just the entire industry, not just the entire niche, but a sub niche within that could just be a certain service that they offer that's really high ticket, really urgent, etc. So some of these that are good would be like commercial remodeling. You could do just general home remodeling, but why not just add on commercial in front of it? And now it's much higher ticket. And competition also seems to go down when you do that, at least with remodeling. The other thing to note too is with commercial, when you're adding these terms onto any sort of like home service, then the search volume is going to go way down. So with commercial terms, if you're targeting only that, then what you want to do is make sure that you're targeting a large area. So depending on the population of the area you're in, I would suggest like 10 million plus people that you're targeting total in the area that you're capturing. If you're doing like, let's say commercial remodeling, I would just find a commercial remodeler in Massachusetts who offers services all around Mass. And then you just target the entire state. So you really want big target areas for these types of terms so you can get them enough leads. The other thing to note too when you're adding commercial is that their sales process usually changes from the residential side of things, and it tends to be a little bit longer. So if you are running ads in these industries, keep in mind that you might get less leads, but they're higher ticket, and then those leads will also take longer to sell into a customer. So if you're working with these types of clients, at least they have the budget for this, but make sure that you're running a contract maybe of like at least 3 months at a time, just because within 1 month they might get some leads, but those leads won't close for months at a time down the road. So they won't have enough data to really judge the performance. So that's enough there on that. But some other industries would be cleaning and janitorial. This is both recurring and high ticket. So you can make like $3,500 per account that you get them for a commercial property. And that's per month recurring for them. So that's a lot of money over time. Another one would be snow removal, another recurring service where it's every storm they can be making several $1,000s on doing a parking lot. So you can target areas specifically like Chicago, anywhere around the Great Lakes region, or wherever it snows a lot, then it's going to have a lot of people willing to invest in ads. General contracting, this is the same thing, just add in commercial, general contractors, and now you got builds that can go in the millions. And if you can get them one deal in a single year, then they make all their money back on your retainer, and it's just a no-brainer at that point. Next up, we got some home services, and these are generally touted by most of the videos that you might see on YouTube. But I'm going to add a couple that you may have not already heard of, and fencing would be one of those. So like fence installations, so whether that's residential or commercial, I would do both. It's going to be higher ticket for commercial, of course, but there's a lot of traffic for residential. And I was getting leads for about $40, less than $40, about $38 each in this industry, and quite a bit per month. So you can generate a lot of leads at a good price. The ticket price is, the customer value isn't quite as high as maybe like roofing or plumbing, but this is a lot less competitive than those industries. So it's something a little bit more obscure. Same thing with deck building. So deck building is similar to fencing where there's good volume. The ticket price is high enough and there's not a lot of competition. So they're great industries to be in. Remodeling, once again, so you can do just residential home remodeling for like kitchen, bathrooms, and basements. A lot of people are doing a lot of research in this, so the conversion rates are going to drop. And the ticket price you can generally make a little bit higher just by switching to commercial jobs. But you can still start with residential as well, because ticket price on this can rise up to multiple 5-figure deals. Landscaping, I generally try to stay away from the general landscaping and maintenance, such as like lawn mowing and lawn care and stuff like that, just because there's not enough revenue that's coming out of it. And if lawn care professionals, if they're trying to make money on Google Ads with lawn mowing services by promoting that, it's going to take them sometimes up to a year just to make their money back. The CPCs are outrageous right now. And it's not going to get any better. So I like to stick with hardscapes. Hardscapes would be like brick paving, retaining walls, patio installations, driveway paving. So all these deals are generally multi-$1,000 deals, low thousands depending on the size of it. But it's quite easy actually to generate leads for these. There's not a ton of competition. There's enough in it. There's enough volume, definitely. And it's just a really great industry to be targeting. Landscapes, if you want to go that route, then you can do like new lawn installations, sod installations, stuff like that. Those are generally bigger deals. They're going to be one-off, not recurring like lawn mowing, but less competition. They're easier to do. As mentioned before, we got like tree removal. That's going to be high urgency. People just need to get this done. Nobody has brand loyalty. It's just like nobody calls up their tree guy. They just look on Google, call someone up real quick, and that's an easy one to be in to begin with. Then you got like pool installations and removals. Those perform really well too because high ticket, once again, low competition. It's kind of obscure. Not everybody's dealing with that. Foundation repair or foundation installation. Installations, the conversion rates are going to be lower than repair, most likely. Repair is going to get more leads reaching out, but they're smaller jobs than doing a new foundation installation. And then excavations. So a lot of these you can tie together too, especially with like the landscaping. So like a lot of hardscapers are also going to do pool installation and removal. Not always the case, but sometimes you can find people who do both. And then a lot of landscapers can also do foundations, and they can also do excavations. So it's great to add all of these together and have all these different options to promote. And you could just say, hey, I'm going to run PPC for landscapers and target all these different types of services that are high ticket, I know are fairly low competition and can generate a lot of revenue for them. Brick paving, retaining walls, patio installation, driveway paving, etc. The next one is going to be one that I stumbled upon by accident just by running for a massage school. And this is something that I didn't think was going to perform that well, but it actually did. You might consider running ads for maybe like a massage parlor or a personal trainer, but the thing is their customer price is much lower than if you did for maybe a school. So there's a lot of people going to get their licensing from these schools and their certification from these private institutions. So they're not even like an educational system, they're just a certification school. So it can be massage, personal training, yoga, cosmetology, meditation, instruction. All these things require some form of licensing and schooling, and the tuition is in the several thousands here, and it's very low competition when it comes to advertising. So when I was running ads for massage school, we were getting leads for about $20 or less, and we were getting them in-school tour visits for about $250 each, and they were converting tours at 50% into paying students. So that's about $500 for a paying student. And their tuition fees were $7,200 for that 6-month program. So keep in mind it is a 6-month program, so that $7,200 is reduced because they're paying for teachers and they have quite a bit of overhead. It's not going to be all profit for them. But either way, still quite a bit of profit there, $500 for a student, and they're making $7,200 for tuition. It's pretty much the same with personal training, yoga, cosmetology, meditation, instructor. The good thing about these two is if you're into some of these more creative side of things, you can pull together the creative thing that you're into, like massage, personal training, yoga, and run ads for something semi-related to that, whereas Facebook is generally better, in my opinion, for a lot of massage therapists and personal trainers. That's kind of like the big thing for them. But keep in mind for these types of industries, the lead nurturing process is highly important compared to just generating leads. Generating leads with Google Ads is pretty easy, but nurturing that lead through like email remarketing, all that is really important for actually converting them into students. just because a lot of the people that are reaching out, they're very flaky. They're thinking of pursuing a new career, and they're not really considering it yet. They're like on the edge. A lot of these people are on the edge, so you need a lead nurturing process in place to do that. So that's a little bit more complex. Not really, but just know that beforehand that you'll need to spend more time on that. Medical, so dentistry, of course, everybody talks about dentistry. There's so many dentists. I think there's like 200,000 in the US alone. There's a lot of search traffic for it. They got a long recurring basis for their patients. Generally, you can't lose in it. I've done a lot of dentistry on my own. Another one similar to dentistry, it's a lower ticket, less recurring, would be podiatry, which is foot doctors. Less competition in the space. Not a lot of people are really paying marketers. Not many marketers specifically around podiatrists. So you can get really cheap leads here for like $40 each. And it's kind of similar to dentistry in terms of ticket price, but much less compared to dentistry overall. But still great industry because the competition is so low. Next would be plastic surgery. Everyone talks about plastic surgery too. The good thing about plastic surgery is that it seems to be quite easy to get in contact with the decision makers here. Surprisingly enough, a lot of them are solo operators, and their emails are just clearly displayed online. So getting in contact with them is really easy. But the competition is quite high too, and the CPCs can increase just because of the competition. So just keep in mind that if you're going to work with a plastic surgeon, then they're definitely going to need a high budget when it comes to running ads. And it's kind of a competitive space, and the urgency is a little bit lower. People are doing research, and they're also flaky. They're on the edge. So there needs to be some good branding. You need to have solid marketing in place. You can't just run ads for this and then it's going to happen. You definitely want to make sure that you're doing everything right for plastic surgeons. Really for all these, but that one in particular. Chiropractic, similar to dentistry, there's so much crossover here. Actually, if you did ads for dentistry, you could probably do the same thing for chiropractors. And chiropractors also do physical therapy and sometimes do massage. So that's once again an area where you can combine multiple different services, where you do massage therapists, you also do physical therapists, and then you do chiropractors. And generally there's crossover between what those businesses offer. So it's a good one to go into. Real estate, not in terms of like agents, but like nursing homes, like property in which people can stay at. Nursing homes and assisted living facilities. So these have really high recurring basis, and people stay here for a very long time. The competition is pretty low. It's not like a sexy industry, so no one's really running ads for that. It's pretty obscure. But yeah, the ticket price is really high and recurring, so you could dominate that if you're interested in. Legal, everyone talks about legal as well, but I'll talk about a few that you might have not heard of. The competition is so high for like personal injury and DUI attorneys at this point. The CPCs get really, really high, like in the hundreds of dollars. So if you do work with a DUI attorney, they need to have a really high budget, and you need to really take that marketing seriously. There are some niches or some specialties of legal that most people don't talk about, but there's like immigration attorney, divorce attorney, and family lawyer. These are less in terms of CPC and competition, but their ticket price is still quite high, so they're good industries to go into. And then lastly would be financing, and for this one it would be accounting. Accountants are pretty good when it comes to Google Ads because they're numbers driven. It can be kind of high competition, but not too bad. They have really high recurring basis depending on the services that you're offering. So it can potentially be easier to sell these types of clients if you're more of a logical minded person in the first place. You can just talk numbers with them, which is great. So yeah, that's my list of the top PPC niches to work with when it comes to lead generation for local businesses. If you didn't already notice, it doesn't matter necessarily the niche itself, but you can also sub-niche down into specific services. So you could be, let's say with dentistry, you could sub-niche down to just implants. Since there's so much volume in dentistry, there'll be enough for implants depending on the area you're in. And the ticket price is much higher than just general dentistry. So think of it not just in terms of the niches themselves, but the sub-niches and the services that you can promote. And also keep in mind that some of these can go together, just as mentioned with like chiropractic. physical therapy, as well as massage, as well as the hardscapes and pool installation, foundations, excavations. A lot of these companies do all those at the same time, so they're all services that you can promote. So hopefully this was helpful and a little bit different from what you're normally used to seeing on YouTube. Keep in mind those general characteristics: customer lifetime value, service and urgency, and the competition. So keep in mind those 3 things, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Cheers.